Welcome to today's YouTube video. I appreciate you guys tuning in for this one. It's kind of going to be a lecture type video. I do not want to take too much of your time, and I don't want it to be too long. I want to get straight to the point so we can start practicing this and start utilizing it in our everyday life. So this three circles depiction, picture, whatever you want to call it, is a great tool. It is a gospel presentation, and it's a way for you to turn everyday conversations into gospel conversations. This was something that was taught to me when I came to the church that I'm at now, and it's something that I've utilized every single week to lead people to the Lord and to just bring it up in everyday conversations. Because as Christians, we want our conversations to embody God and Jesus, and we want to save that person, or we want to equip that believer with this tool so that we can help them use this in their everyday conversations. But yes, this is the three circles. This was a tool that was created by Steve Wright and Jimmy Scroggins. So thank you guys for doing this and putting your minds together to create this, because it's an awesome tool. But let's jump right into it. So the first circle is God's perfect design. And we get this from Genesis. We know that in the beginning, everything was perfect, created by God. Man and woman, everything on earth was good. And we know that we were in right standing with God, and everything was in perfect matrimony. But what did we do in Genesis 3? We turned our back on God, and we started to be our own God, chasing after our desires. And we call that sin. That was the first sin to ever enter the world. And it leads us to where we are now in today's world, in a place of brokenness, which is the second circle. And in this place of brokenness, this is essentially where we find ourselves when we are living in sin, separation from God. Anything that is too much of a good thing, too much of a bad thing, you name it, you can have to fill in the blank, because only you and God know what you struggle with, what temptation you're susceptible to. So you really just got to fill in the blank. It can be sports, relationships, pornography, whatever it may be. You have to come to grips with that and confess it. But luckily, in today's generation, our culture, we have the full Bible in its entirety. We know that God came down in flesh for you and I because he loved us so much, and he died on the cross, but he rose 3 days later, defeating sin, death, and the grave. So he gives us a way out of this brokenness. You know, when we're in brokenness, we're in a cycle of trying to fill that void with things of the world, but we know it doesn't work. A thing for me was pornography. It was instant gratification, 5 minutes of happiness, but it didn't fulfill my soul. And luckily, God gave us a way out by the person of Christ. And that is called the gospel. I just said it, but the gospel is Jesus coming down, God in the flesh, God with us. He died on the cross, but he didn't just die. He just wasn't a good teacher. He was God in the flesh, and he rose 3 days later, and he fulfilled so many promises that were needed and necessary for our belief. And the only way to get out of our brokenness is to repent from our old ways, repent to that brokenness that we were living in, and believe in the good news, the gospel of Jesus Christ. And from that point on, it doesn't stop there. We are constantly recovering from our old ways, creating new habits that are of God and of his word, and pursuing his perfect design for our life. And that, in a nutshell, is the three circles. And then when you're bringing this up in everyday conversations, I want to encourage you to keep the conversation going. I want to encourage you to not know it, right? I want you to keep practicing it day in and day out. I want you to save this video and come back to it and write down as we're going through it so that you get familiar with it, so you can reach lost people with this simple and easy tool that can be written on a note card or a napkin, or even even drawn on your hand. And there is an app for this too, so please download that, and it'll be an easy way. We always have our phones, so you can easily share it with somebody. And it's easier because you don't have to remember it as you're writing it down. So please like this video, share this video, save it for later, subscribe to the channel. We got videos coming out every Tuesday and every Thursday. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you on Thursday.